What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down, what moved it, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi went down 1.17%, 26.78 the high, 26.01 the low, and around 41 million shares being traded. So it did really push lower with the broader market near the tail end of the day. A lot of that is attributed to just geopolitical fears, because Monday the market is closed. So of course, to mitigate risk, there's a lot of selling that does occur, because you never know. Over the long weekend, anything can happen. The states could take over Greenland, potentially could strike Iran, even though Trump did say that he's convinced himself to not do that. Anything is possible. So of course, that's why we did see a little bit of a pullback. As far as data, we did have manufacturing coming in a little bit better than anticipated for the month over month. So 0.2 versus 0.1, nothing significant, but it does really kind of paint a bigger picture that there is a certain level of expansion, because we've had a lot of good manufacturing data over the last week. So definitely shows that things are really starting to heat up. So that's always a good thing. Of course, that might be a bad thing for those of you that really want a rate cut, but you can't have both, unfortunately. When it comes down to SoFi, there was no news, no SEC filings as of today, but there was a couple of things I wanted to share with you. One of which was this right here. So SoFi Pay looks like is now available in the Philippines and also Malta. So I don't know if that's a good reason to buy SoFi because of that. Probably not so much, but at least it goes to show that it's kind of expanding. One thing as well, I don't really see anyone really talking about it, but we see silver still extremely high. So it is at $90. So for those of you that remember, roughly around a week or so ago, around the 14th, or actually, sorry, right around here on the 26th, it went on a very nice run. And this nice run nearly bankrupted a lot of banks, and so that caused a lot of fear, caused a significant pullback in the broader market. It looks as though, from what I can see, those banks are still shorting silver. So silver had a little bit of consolidation, but it looks like it's going on another tear. So that could also be one attributing factor why we're seeing kind of lower volume and everything, is that maybe there's fear about a lot of the smaller banks going insolvent. So again, that might be a underlying fear over and above everything. But aside from all of that though, getting right to it, SoFi shorts did increase 864,000 shares. 9.51% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 117 million shares overall being shorted. So today you do see two signs of manipulation. One is just straight up naked shorting, and that's been a common scenario for a while now. And then cost to borrow minimum is negative. So whoever's kind of the brokers out there really incentivizing some shorting by paying people, they're back at it. And based on the most recent issuance, it is fair to assume it could be Bank of America or other under the umbrella, potentially through one of their subsidiaries. So there's a lot of sketchiness, and I've been covering SoFi for quite some time. And from the beginning, I did say that SoFi is not going to be an easy task for it to kind of take market share from the brick and mortar banks. They're trying to disrupt one of the oldest sectors in the market, and like, I don't think brick and mortar and whatever else is out there, they're not going to just let SoFi do that easily. There's going to be a lot of manipulation, and yeah, that's pretty much what's happening behind the scenes. But nonetheless, SoFi still held above some kind of key levels. With options, we did have 43 million in calls, 21 million in puts, and then 42% of all the options being done were bullish in nature. With today being Friday, this is the open interest. So you have 37,000 at the 20. 4,000 at the 21, 12,000 at the 22, 13,000 at the 23, 47,000 at the 25. Unfortunately, it would have been a little bit more advantageous if SoFi was to have closed above 27, but can't win them all, unfortunately. So as it stands, there was about 114,000 in the money options, and there really wasn't all that much in transactions being done on the dark pool above $100,000. So it is fair to assume that a lot of that is going to be covered next week, Tuesday onwards. There was a couple of transactions that did occur on the secondary market, so possibly that could be some covering right here. So you had a 1 million share transaction, so $27.2 million, 5.3 that was done first thing, 4.1, 3.2, 2.9, still not enough to cover everything. So most likely next week we could see a nice little push higher. Unfortunately, based on SoFi's technicals, it kind of closed below a key level. So one thing that I've been really hitting home, both in my pre-market videos and just a lot of my SoFi videos, 2630. Luckily enough, that's been a good bouncing off point in the past, but today it did break below that and closed below it. So that usually does mean that there might be some further consolidation. So 2630 is going to be a key level to get over early on next week. If not, again, you could see maybe a push lower to that 2530 range for the most part. Aside from that though, on the actual chart itself, this is where I even kind of stated over the last couple days that it could have went either way. SoFi could have had a nice push higher where we could easily break above that 50 and we'd have a very nice breakout, or flip side, it could have easily broken down, and it looks like the latter is happening, and you don't really see that much willing buyers. So today we did see kind of lower volume, and again, not that much willing buyers up till around that 2570. After that, it just drops off. So things could get very real very fast. And so for instance, over the long weekend, if there is, let's say, some attack against Iran, or who knows, maybe they take over Greenland and kind of pull a risk game type of strategy and just take over Canada while they're at it, then you might see a little bit more further consolidation. So let me know your viewpoint on that, and potentially at what stage would you be a buyer next. I know I mentioned, I think it was in my video yesterday or the day before, I've been doing more of a laddered approach with selling my puts. So different expiry dates, different strike prices. So I have 22, 19, even 15. I think that's for September, just in case. Most likely that's going to be some free money for me. But nonetheless, that's one thing I recommend, just in case. Everyone thinks that they know what is coming in the foreseeable future through their crystal ball, but anything is possible. SoFi could easily go to 32 next week or break it down to 22. So best thing to do is just dollar cost average. But based on the actual chart right now, it does show that there might be some further consolidation. Aside from that, stochastic RSI is at 14, so it is very oversold. So a good piece of news, you could see a nice little push higher. But aside from that though, not really that much in news, no new analyst ratings or anything along those lines. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Did you buy? Did you sell? What's your kind of general thoughts when it comes down to Greenland and Iran? Do you think that there's something kind of to worry about? Do you think that it was justifying of this kind of push lower? What's your kind of honest opinion on that? But one final thing, if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, definitely worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. Even a lot of the day trades, despite what happened in the broader market, they went up solid double digit pretty much across the board. So worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.